Now let's discuss an open loop system. An open loop control system utilizes an actuating device to control the process directly without using feedback. As you can see here, the basic block diagram of an open loop system, we have the desired output response, then the controller, actuator, then process, then lastly is our output. So again, just remember that an open loop system process directly without using a feedback. Hence, in our block diagram, you cannot see any feedback going back to the desired output response. For further discussion, so as you can see here, it starts with a subsystem called an input transducer, which convert the form of input to the use by the controller. The controller drives a process or plant. The input is sometimes called the reference, while the output can be called the controlled variable. Other signals such as disturbances are shown added to the controller and process outputs via summing junction. So please take note of the symbol for each of the following, which yield to the algebraic sum of their input signals using associated sign. So here we have plus signs to both the summing junctions from the disturbance 1 and disturbance 2. So the open loop system cannot compensate for any disturbances that add to the controller's driving signal. So open loop systems then do not correct disturbances and are simply commanded by the input. So example, for the toaster. So as you can see here, it is an example of an open loop system. The simple toaster will not adjust its time or temperature according to the type of bread. So that is an open loop system. Now let's move on with a closed loop system. A closed loop system or a closed loop control system uses a measurement of the output and feedback of this signal to compare it with the desired output, which is your reference or command. As you can see here for the basic block diagram, we added an error and the feedback towards to a sensor, then to a summing point part with a negative sign. In contrast to an open loop system, a closed loop system utilizes an additional measure of the actual output to compare the actual output with desired output response. The measure of the output is called the feedback signal. A feedback control system is a control system that tends to maintain a prescribed relationship of one system variable to another by comparing functions of these variables and using the difference as a means of control. With an accurate sensor, the measured output is a good approximation of the actual output of the system. Let's analyze a closed loop system. As you can see here, we have the input transducer. It converts the form of the input to the form used by the controller. An output transducer, on the other hand, or sensor, measures the output response and converts it into the form used by the controller. The first summing junction algebraically adds the signal from the input to the signal from the output, which arrives via the feedback path. The return path from the output to the summing junction. The output signal is subtracted from the input signal. The result is generally called the actuating signal. However, And systems where both the input and output transducers have unity gain, that is, the transducer amplifies its input by 1. So, ibig sabihin, kapag unity gain, so 1 pa din. So, mag-amplify ng same as itself. So, the actuating signal's value is equal to the actual difference between the input and the output. Under this condition, so the actuating signal is called the error. So this closed-loop system compensates for disturbances by measuring the output response, feeding back the measurement through a feedback path, and comparing the response to the input at the summing junction. If there is any difference between the two responses, the system drives the plant via the actuating signal to make a correction. If there is no difference, the system does not drive the plant since the plant's response is already the desired response. So the closed-loop system has an obvious advantage of greater accuracy than open-loop system. So it is less sensitive to noise disturbances and changes in the environment. Then the transient response and steady state error can be controlled more conveniently and with greater flexibility in closed loop systems, often by a simple adjustment of gain or amplification in the loop and sometimes by redesigning the controller. We refer to redesign as compensating the system to the resulting hardware as a compensator. Now, let's have the analysis and design objectives. Analysis is the process by which a system's performance is determined. For example, we evaluate its transient response and steady state error to determine if they meet the desired specifications. Design is a process by which a system's performance is created or changed. For example, if a system's transient response and steady state error are analyzed and found not to meet the specifications, that we change parameters or add additional components to meet the specification. So sa design, ito yung binabago natin yung ating pinaka-system base sa ating desired performance. Okay? After our analysis. A control system is dynamic. It responds to an input by undergoing a transient response before reaching a steady state response that generally resembles the input. So, as we refer to our previous example, the graph shows the transient response input command and given our steady state response with a steady state error. Now let's define a transient response. It is the temporary behavior of a system when it changes from one stable condition to another. It is the short time period where the output changes, spikes, or bounces before it settles down into a steady, normal state. Okay? So, yung transient response, ito yung period kung saan nagbabago pa yung ating output. So, approaching towards dun sa ating desired na output. So, in the case of an elevator, a slow transient response makes the passenger impatient, whereas an excessive rapid response makes them uncomfortable. If the elevator oscillates about the arrival of a floor for more than a second, a disconcerting feeling can result. Transient response is also important for structural reasons. So, too fast, a transient response could cause permanent physical damage. Kapag sobrang bilis ng response, so maaaring makasira tayo ng mga system. So in a computer, for example, the transient response contributes to the time required to read from or write to the computer's disk storage. So as you can see in the figure. Since yung reading and writing cannot take place until the head stops, the speed of the read-write's head movement from one track on the disk to another influences the overall speed of the computer. Now, let's define the steady-state response. It is how a system or circuit behaves after a very long time. Once all temporarily or temporary initial changes, which is called the transient responses, have faded away. It shows the stable long-term output when an input stays constant or repeats in a regular pattern. So kaya nga siya tinatawag na steady state response. As we have seen, this response resembles the input and is usually what remains after the transients have decayed to zero. For example, this response may be an elevator stopped near the fourth floor, or the head of a disk drive finally stopped at the correct track. We are concerned about the accuracy of the steady-state response. An elevator must be level enough with the floor for the passengers to exit, and a read or write head not positioned over the commanded track results in a computer errors. An antenna tracking satellite must keep the satellite well within its beam width in order not to lose track. In this text, we define steady-state errors quantitatively, analyze a system steady-state error, and then design corrective action to reduce steady-state error, which is our second analysis and design objective. Another term that we need to focus on is stability. In order to explain stability, we start from the fact that the total response of a system is the sum of the natural response and the forced response. Stability in a feedback system means that a bounded input creates a bounded output, and the system's response settles over time rather than growing or oscillating infinitely. If feedback is poorly designed or phase delays accumulate, negative feedback can turn into positive feedback, causing severe oscillations or system failure. So ano ba yung tinatawag na natural response? Ang natural response describes the way the system dissipates or acquires energy. The form of nature of this response is dependent only on the system, not the input. On the other hand, the form or nature or of the force response is dependent on the input. For a control system to be useful, the natural response must eventually approach zero, thus leaving only the force response to oscillate. In some systems, however, the natural response grows without bound rather than diminish to zero or oscillate. Eventually, the natural response is so much greater than the force response that the system is no longer controlled. This condition is called instability. So, yung term na instability could lead to the self-destruction of the physical device if limit stops are not part of the design. For example, yung elevator would crash through the floor or exit through the ceiling. So yung aircraft would go into an uncontrollable roll, or an antenna commanded to the point to a target would rotate, line up with the target, but then begin to oscillate without the target, with growing oscillations and increasing velocity until the motor amplifiers reach their output limits or until the antenna was damaged structurally. A time plot of an unstable system would show a transient response that grows without bound and without any evidence of a steady state response. Kindly refer to the given figure. This is the effect of a high and low controller gain on the output response. The possibility exists for a transient response that consists of damp oscillation. That is, a sinusoidal response whose amplitude diminishes with time. About the steady state value if the gain is high. The responses for low gain and high gain are shown. So typically, the steady state error decreases with an increase in gain and increases with a decrease in gain. So as you can see here, given on the x-axis we have time and on the y-axis we have response. So for the desired response, you can see here from the output with a low gain, the transient response is moving towards a steady state. So that is the output with a low gain. As the time goes by, it reaches the steady state response. On the other hand, the output with a high gain oscillates. Okay? Kung makikita nyo, yung ating graph ng ating output with the high gain, nagkakaroon ng parang bouncing uh, pattern dito sa ating wave, okay? Or dun sa ating signal. So therefore, yun yung tinatawag na oscillation. Nagbabounce siya. Before ma-reach yung ating steady state. Our design objectives and the system's performance revolve around the transient response and the steady state error and stability. Kaya tatandaan yung transient response, steady state error, and stability. So gain adjustments can affect performance and sometimes lead to trade-offs between the performance criteria. Compensators can often be designed to achieve performance specifications without the need for the trade-offs. Now that we have stated our objective and some of the methods available to meet those objectives, we describe the orderly progression that led us to the final system design. This is the design process. First, transform requirements into physical system. We begin by transforming the requirements into the physical system. Step 2, we need to draw a functional block diagram. So the designer now translates a quantitative description of the system into a functional block diagram that describes the component parts of the system. Then it also includes the interconnection of the diagram. Next, for the step 3, create a schematic. As we have seen, possession control system consists of electrical, mechanical, and electromechanical components. So after producing the description of physical system, the control systems engineer transforms the physical system into a schematic diagram. The control system designer can begin with the physical description as contained. Step number 4, you're going to develop a mathematical model or block diagram. Once the schematic is shown, the designer uses physical laws such as Kirchhoff's laws for electrical networks and Newton's laws for mechanical systems, along with the simplifying assumptions to model the system mathematically. These laws are sum of the voltages around closed paths are equal to 0, and a Kirchhoff's current law, the sum of electric currents flowing from an anode equals 0. For the Newton's law, the sum of forces on a body equals to 0, so the sum of moments of a body is equal to 0. So for step number 5, you're going to reduce the block diagram. Subsystem models are interconnected to form block diagrams of a larger systems. Then lastly, for the step number 6, analyze and design. The next phase of the process following block diagram reduction is the analysis and design. Now let's have an example problem that we're going to further identify. So a temperature control system operates by sensing the difference between the thermostat setting and the actual temperature, and then opening fuel valve an amount proportional to its difference. So draw a functional closed-loop block diagram identifying the input and output transducers, the controller, and the plant. Further, identify the input and output signals of all subsystems previously described. Here's the answer. As you can see, we have here the block diagram of a control system. So from the desired temperature, we have a summing point that leads to the temperature difference of the feedback and the desired temperature. Then, afterwards, it is a feed to the thermostat. And from the thermostat, we have a voltage difference that enters or feed to the amplifiers and valves. So the fuel bulb will open depending on the amount of the voltage difference. Afterwards, the fuel will flow towards the heater. Then it yields the actual temperature. If there's a difference between the actual and the desired temperature, then we will go back to the feedback towards the summing point. So this is an example of a closed loop control system. Another example problem. An aircraft's attitude varies in roll, pitch, and yaw. Draw a functional block diagram for a closed-loop system that stabilizes the roll as follows. So the system measures the actual roll angle with a gyro and compares the actual roll angle with the desired roll angle. The ailerons respond to the roll angle error by undergoing an angular deflection. The aircraft responds to this angular deflection, producing a roll angle rate. So for the task, identify the input and output transducers, the controller, and the plant. Further, identify the nature of each signal. But before that, let's analyze the uh, parts of an airplane. We have here the pitch angle, the roll angle, and the yaw angle. Then the aileron, wherein we have the deflection up, and another aileron for the deflection down to demonstrate how well the airplane moves. So here's the answer for this problem. First, the pilot selects the desired roll angle as our input. So for the input transducer, it converts the command. Then the system compares the desired and actual roll angles. Afterwards, the controller responds to the error. The controller now sends a command to the aileron actuator. Then the aircraft produces a roll rate after the aircraft dynamics. So the roll rate. The aircraft is the plant, which means it is the physical system that is being controlled. The roll rate produces a roll angle. So after the integration of the roll rate, it produces the roll angle. Afterwards, the gyro measures the actual roll angle. The output transducer is the gyro. So as we analyze the input, it is the desired roll angle, which indicates how much the aircraft should tilt. The input transducer is the control, stick, sensor, potentiometer, encoder, or the digital command interface, which converts the desired roll angle command into an electrical or digital signal. For the comparator, we have the error detector that compares the desired and the measured roll angle, or the comparison of our input to our output. For the controller, we have the flight control computer or the autopilot controller. So the aileron position control, wherein it decides how much the aileron should move. The actuator is the aileron servo that physically moves the ailerons. When we are talking about the plant, so the plant is the aircraft roll dynamics that responds to the aileron movement by rolling. For the output transducer, it is the gyro or the attitude sensor which measures the actual roll angle. Lastly, for the output, it is the actual roll angle, which indicates the aircraft's actual side-to-side tilt. That's an example of a control system, specifically a closed-loop control system, wherein the feeding of the measurement goes back to a feedback path. Then it compares the response. In this example, it compares the actual roll angle to the desired roll angle. That's all for this session. I hope that you have learned something about the feedback and control system. Always remember that it is important for us to be familiar with the basic terminologies of a control system. And you must understand the difference between an open loop system and a closed loop systems, together with its part. That would be all, and thank you. God bless.